was going into my freshman year at Boise State, and after being dubbed the starter before I even stepped foot on campus, I knew that I was going to face some challenges that were unique to me. Thankfully, those challenges didn't start on my first drive of my career, where I led my team down for my first ever touchdown pass. And I was lucky in the fact that I had some good weapons around me, but in the second quarter, just as I thought everything was looking good, on this 4th and 10, not only would I throw an incompletion, but I'd hurt my ribs, and I'd miss the rest of the first half as I'd have to watch from the sideline as our backup quarterback would get hounded by the Washington defense. The coaches were feeding the running back like he was Derrick Henry, and I honestly needed that because my ribs were still hurting with every single throw, and you could tell on this play. Our defense would do a great job of bending and not breaking as they'd stop Washington from getting the touchdown and forcing them to a field goal. Coach was most definitely tripping when he called the read option on this play because my ribs were still killing me, and even though I got up like nothing was wrong, deep inside, that shit hurt. And I knew that I was going to push my luck too far because the next time I ran it, I could not get back up. Our offense had to settle for a field goal, but thankfully that was enough to win the game. I went into this game against an FCS opponent like they were sorry, and they would make me pay for it on one of my first throws of the game. But if there's one thing about FCS teams, their defensive lines are just not able to compete with our O-line. And the running lanes were just massive. I was able to run this one in easy. But here I go sharing the ball with the defense again like this was recess. I gotta be better at protecting the ball. And believe it or not, but the momentum they got from that turnover was crazy because they were up by a touchdown in the third quarter. And if I didn't complete that ridiculous 4th down on the last play, who knows where this game would have ended up. We found ourselves in another 4th down on the next drive, but we decided to run for it this time, and unfortunately we had to settle for a field goal, so it came down to our defense. They ended up making the stop on this 4th down, and I ended up being the player of the game. But honestly, if we wanted any chance of winning the conference, we needed to play a lot better than that. So when we played Air Force, the offensive coordinator finally let me do my thing. I was throwing more bombs than the US did in the Middle East, and I was surprised on the amount of them that I was actually connecting.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over them mountains?
And after I completed this throw down the middle of the defense, I knew that I had the potential to be one of the best QBs in the conference. Even though I was just a freshman, I was a gunslinger and the coaches trusted me. So when I got named player of the game for the 2nd time in a row, I just felt that confidence continue to rise. Fresno State was one of those teams in the Mountain West that just always competed for the conference championship. So playing them at their place in a hostile environment was a great opportunity to see where our team was really at. And low-key, I think my ribs might be broken because every time I land on them, I swear it'd be taking me too long to get up. And I'm not going to use that as an excuse for how I was playing this game against Fresno State, but damn. After completely taking over against Air Force, I was struggling to find the openings in the seams against Fresno State. They were just way more fundamentally sound on defense. But instead of settling for a field goal on this 4th and 8, coach let us throw it right before the half and we take the lead. I think that was the decision that turned this game around completely. We had the confidence to try different things, including this flea flicker. And even though it didn't work, it showed that coach was ready to do whatever. And after I ran in this touchdown in the 4th quarter, it was all but over against Fresno State, and we had to turn our attention to Southern Miss. I swear, when we play at home, I have a different level of excitement in front of our crowd, but I must have been too excited on this play because I overthrew the wide open receiver. But on the very next play, I would get it right back. And after Southern Miss tried to blitz their corner on this play, I would throw it to the wide open receiver for the touchdown, and we would never look back. As a freshman, I was still trying to earn my stripes, and after I put my head down for the touchdown on this play, I was getting my teammates respect. I might be the play action king. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is really messing with me. But truthfully, I don't really play like Aaron Rodgers. I play more like Brett Favre because I will air it out, but some of my decisions be questionable. But this game, I was playing more like Cam Newton the way I was running in touchdowns. And you would have to just see to believe this bullshit interception just before the half that got bounced around off of multiple people's heads before getting picked off. And even though we dominated Utah State, I don't know how many more hits I can take like this and not get knocked out the game for good. And in the very next game against Nevada, instead of just taking the sack against the all-out blitz, I would try to throw to someone who wasn't open. That interception didn't really cost us because Nevada didn't score, but this pick 6 was going to be very costly. I mean, these were the type of mistakes that were just unacceptable. And even though I was able to run this touchdown in the second quarter to tie it back up, Nevada was still up by 10 in the third quarter. Nevada was one of my top 3 choices for colleges coming out of high school, and I think they were sour that I didn't pick them because I never got blitzed this much in my life. But ultimately, our team was just too talented and we complete the comeback in the rain. This was by far the biggest game of the year. We were taking on 11th ranked BYU, who had a ridiculous defense. At this point in time, we had climbed our way up to be the number 7 ranked team in the country. But I'm telling you, this BYU defense was absolutely ferocious. atrocious, and playing at their place definitely didn't help. We were down 14-0, and the pressure on this throw would force me to throw an interception, and I was feeling absolutely defeated. It was a 3-possession game, but I was able to get this touchdown in just before the half to cut the lead down. But I was a little too impatient coming out the half, and I would try to force this ball down the field, and I just didn't have enough arm power on it. It was still only a 13-point game, but I was completely frazzled, and I was missing wide open receivers now. This was the first really good team that I had played, and they did a great job of bringing pressure to the point where I was absolutely incapable of doing anything through the air. This fumble was probably the icing on the cake, but I can't lie, I wasn't the only one messing up in this game. My receivers was trash. Buddy really let the ball hit him on the face mask, and you could probably guess what happened on this hit. My ass was gonna get hurt again. I honestly couldn't believe the ass whooping that we took. Playing against Colorado State should have been a cakewalk, even though it was at their place. But I'm not gonna lie, that game against BYU had my confidence a little bit shaky. And yeah, I was still hitting the open receivers and everything like that in this game against Colorado State, but in the back of my head, I still remember those hits against BYU. And so when we could have just ran the clock out against Colorado State in the first half, we got a little too greedy, and I would throw this interception to the linebacker who had like a 50-inch vertical. Of course they were going to score a touchdown off that interception, and on the first drive of the second half, I would throw another interception. By the fourth quarter, Colorado State had scored 21 unanswered, and I'd get hurt again. This time it was my knee, and I'd have to miss the rest of the game. We were back at home against Wyoming, and it was clear that home field advantage in this conference was a big deal because both of our losses were on the road. Wyoming just didn't have a good enough offense to compete with us, and in the fourth quarter, when we should have went up 21 and told them to pass the sticks, the receiver would drop the pass. It was still a 3-possession game, and we would score a touchdown on this read option, so I wasn't really stressed, but those are the type of plays that we needed to make to be good against really good teams. You won't believe this game against San Diego State. Remember I said that having home field advantage was a big thing in this conference. I really meant that. 2-8 San Diego State was up by 7, but just before the half, I'd be able to run in this touchdown to tie it back up. And after not being able to find an open receiver, I'd run this one in as well. In the fourth quarter, we were up by 4 still, but a noodle arm throw like this one would get intercepted, and San Diego State was in prime position to take the lead, and they would do that. We needed to go the length of the field to send this game to at least overtime, and after converting that 4th and 1, I thought we were in a good position. I broke that sack and gave us a great opportunity, but a couple plays later, I would make this terrible throw that thankfully didn't get intercepted, but you know my ass gonna get hurt. The backup QB would come in and immediately throw the game-losing interception, but that's honestly on me for being too damn soft and not staying in the game. And just like that, we had 3 losses on the season, going from the number 7 ranked team in the country to unranked in the span of a month. There hasn't been a fall this great since the Roman Empire, and it was really crazy because all 3 of our losses were on the road. So when we were back home against New Mexico State, I was surprised that we were still struggling. My ribs were absolutely killing me, but after watching our backup QB throw the game away last week because I got injured, I made sure that I would stay in the game. Coach was trying to get freaky. He threw in this halfback toss pass that actually got completed surprisingly. And I mean, at this point in the season with 3 losses, we really had nothing to lose, so we might as well go out there and have fun with it. We still made it to the conference championship, and we would take on San Jose State at their place. And remember, home field advantage is everything in this conference. So I wasn't the least bit surprised that I was struggling, but I needed to flip a switch and turn shit up because we could not afford to lose this conference championship game, and especially not because I'm playing bad. San Jose State's defense was absolutely rocking though, and we found ourselves down 16-7. We needed a big momentum play just before the half, and that's exactly what we would do with this throw down the middle that would go the distance. Just like that, we were only down by 2, and throws like this one in the whole shot between the corner and the safety were going to get us into field goal range. Yes, getting a touchdown on the board would have been a lot bigger, but this field goal to take the lead was good enough. And in the fourth quarter on 3rd and 8, when we needed a first down to try and help run this clock out, I would do a great job again the first. But of course, y'all already knew my bones was made out of glass, and I would get injured. And I don't know why coach would try to attempt this field goal. I mean, it was like 15 yards too short. We were blessed that our defense would hold, and we would go on to win the Mountain West. Now, this wasn't the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, or anything crazy like that, but at least we were playing in a wild stadium that was packed out. We decided to go for our all orange unis in this game instead of our usual all blues, and we were feeling ourselves. It honestly felt like nothing nothing can go wrong on offense, and our defense was actually holding Arizona to no points in the first half. Getting 11 wins was huge for the program, but selfishly, it was big for me too, because starting as a freshman, I had the very unique opportunity to try and go and win 50 games throughout my career, which is something only Kellen Moore has done, another Boise State alum. If you got this far in the episode, I appreciate you for watching, and please consider subscribing to stay up to date with Uncle Rico's journey.
Coach would have put me in fourth quarter. We'd have been state champions, no doubt. No doubt in my mind. You better believe things would have been different. I'd have gone pro. In a heartbeat. I'd be making millions of dollars and living in a big old mansion somewhere. You know, soaking it up in a hot tub with my soulmate.